No, you're exactly right about that. The gospel writers will hearken back to Genesis and creation and look forward to new creation, even in the way they report the accounts of the resurrection. So you mentioned that in John's gospel, early in the morning on the first day of the week, while it was still dark. First day of the week, light, dark, and then the gardener, and then later on in that day, he breathes the Holy Spirit into his disciples, just as God breathed life into Adam. So there's all those connections there. That means that and this is Sunday, the first day of the week. So it's not even Saturday, the seventh day, the day of rest.
Mm-hmm.
We're into a new week now, a new creation. It's the first day of the new creation. That's why we gather together to worship on the Lord's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And every Sunday, actually, we should declare Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. And what you just said there, this is how we should view the mundane things we do in day-to-day life. And this may sound trivial and silly, but it's absolutely not. Why do you cut your grass?
Mm-hmm.
Because on the third day, Christ rose from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do, the resurrection has an impact on that.
Yeah.
Why do we do what we do? Because on the third day, Christ rose from the dead. Everything is different now from that point.
Mm-hmm.
And already the future has come into the present, and the Spirit who is leading us to that future is the deposit, as Paul says. But it's even that we have the first fruits of the Spirit, again back to Romans 8, and we groan inwardly because of it. So God's Spirit is at work, present in us, pulling us to that future, and all the work that we do, and the seemingly mundane activities of day-to-day life are done in the Spirit, in the hope of resurrection. And God is going to, he sees what you do, he recognizes it, and he's going to ordain and take that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to think about this, but all of our faithful work in our day-to-day lives is a part of God's work of new creation.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be my kind of final wrap-up question, really, which is, as we think about the wonder of all of this, the fact that God sanctifies moments. The first thing that God sanctifies is actually time itself. He sets aside the seventh day. He makes it holy. That all of the moments, it's not just that our vocationally we are all a royal priesthood. It's that our moments, our days, they're actually all to be set apart for God and for his service and for his work, so that we start to see all of life in that regard. And some people will be asking themselves, and I would imagine, and thinking, well, okay, if I this work that I do here, or this service that I do here, or maybe the artist is thinking this painting that I might do here, or this composition that I have here, or this sermon that I write here, or the raising of my children that I do here, or the teaching of my family that I do here, is that going to be taken up? Is that going to go on and be an important aspect, a significant aspect of the new creation? I think of Paul's text where he speaks about things being things that are not built on the foundation of Christ, on this priestly foundation, being actually burned up, and that person will suffer loss as such. But those of us who are actually building in terms of this gospel purpose, this kingdom purpose, there's a sense there in Paul that actually this work comes in with us. It's taken with us. The kings of the Gentiles shall bring all their glory to him. In terms of what the prophets say, but that they should bring all their riches. And I see there all the cultural riches of God's people coming in to be glorified in the new creation.
That what you've mentioned there is helpful, because what needs to be burned away will be burned away, will be destroyed. But that which lasts will last. We can think of what Paul says concerning the crown. I'm storing up for myself a crown. And the book of Revelation speaks of the crown. Don't lose the crown. So that our work, our faithfulness, our service, we can think of that as the crown, in a sense, that we are adorning, and we carry that through. We'll have that. I don't know if this analogy is helpful or not, but when the people came out of Egypt in the Exodus, and there may even be a typology here, a deliverance from slavery in Egypt. Paul's very clear in Romans chapter 6 that there's a parallel there with our deliverance from the slavery to sin. But it wasn't just that God delivered the people out of Israel. His whole point was to bring them to this place. He said to Moses in Exodus 3, "You will worship me on this mountain." And then the Exodus is quite concerned, and there's many chapters given to the building of the tabernacle, which is actually a shadow of the new creation.
Yeah.
So that's all there. And the people brought with them, they plundered the Egyptians for this, but they brought with them their silver and their gold and their vestments. And all of that was offered and used to build the tabernacle.
Yeah.
And so obviously the average Hebrew didn't have the privilege of going and seeing that, but you could actually go in and say, hey, my little bit of gold is right there on the corner of the altar of incense. No, that's my contribution. It's right there. You could have done that. I brought out this scarlet, material, and that there I see it. I can see it at a distance, embroidered in the curtain of the tabernacle. There may be something like that where we can say, hey, there it is. There's what I did. It's there, and there's an eternal, permanent, in a sense, memorial of that. And God is pleased with our good works. He's called us to do those good works, and they're permanent. They last, and there will be something of, hey, that's. Or building a cathedral, there's the stone I laid. It's right there.
The cathedral image, I think, is an important one there. That, in a sense, we can see ourselves as cathedral builders, stones, living stones, being built together, each bringing the gifts, the talents, the what God has given to us to be part of building